What's good, guys? Welcome back to full card predictions for UFC 310. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. We're already in the month of December. The happiest time of the year, or whatever you guys want to call it. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for giving me so much love on the early predictions on UFC 310. We're not going to do any recap since there was no UFC last week, but I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving, and I hope you guys had a great weekend, and I hope you guys are ready for UFC 310. We're going to break down the entire card, newly updated predictions, starting with the early prelims, ending with the main event of the evening. This is a good card. Like I said last time, no bout order changed. Maybe there might be a bout order change by Friday. I think this is the final bout order, and I like it. My boy Aljo is on the prelims. They disrespect my boy. All right, let's go. Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Brzeski. We have to mention how when I put up polls and I ask everybody, who do you guys think is going to win in the most notable fashion? The most voted poll was for Kennedy Nzechukwu, obviously on the prelims. So who do you think is going to win in the most notable fashion on the prelims? A lot of people said Kennedy Nzechukwu, and when I did this when he was going to fight against Chris Barnett, he was voted again very highly as well, like on Tapology. 96% are choosing him by KO. Brzeski is 1-4 in his last 5. When we look at this fight just screams 1-800-GAMBLER. Kennedy Nzechukwu is fighting for the second time at heavyweight. And we have to mention, his debut at heavyweight looked pretty good. His debut at heavyweight looked pretty good. He is a light heavyweight, but he's moving up to heavyweight for the second time. He looked amazing. Honestly, he's the only guy in the UFC. He's the only guy to ever beat Carlos Ulberg. We know Ulberg just beat Oezdemir. Kennedy's a huge southpaw, decent takedown defense, never out of a fight. He doesn't fall behind that much, but if he does, he can get a good knockout if he's behind on the scorecards. But he has fallen behind against Ovince Peru. He looked terrible in that fight. Brzeski's 1-4 in his last 5, has no chin, coming off of that KO loss to the heavyweight GOAT Mick Parkin. Kennedy's second fight at heavyweight. I think he'll have a lot of success. Newly updated prediction. I'm going Kennedy Nzechukwu to win this fight by first round KO. I'll go first round KO. Let's go. Honestly, though, I like double chance for this fight. Kennedy Nzechukwu by KO or on points, just in case Brzeski tends up being a little tougher than a lot of people expect, or he ends up getting a late KO. It's going to be a good fight. Guida versus Chase Hooper. We know Kennedy's a massive favorite. Chase Hooper's another one of those massive favorites. Chase Hooper's a -850, -770. It's all over the place with Chase Hooper. These guys have fought in grappling before, so this is a rematch. Obviously, their first fight with hands, kicks, all that included, but we've seen them grapple. Guida, 42, Hall of Famer, king of having good fights, and all gas, straight war. This guy is awesome. I hope they really put him in the Hall of Fame. He can hang, has a relentless pace with hands and wrestling, good chin, but he sucks at defending subs. Coming off of that fun loss to Silva, taking on Chase Hooper, the new generation technical king, slick grappler. A few years into his career, he got so much better. Coming off that win over Slava Claus, where he dropped Slava Claus and submitted him, which was pretty impressive. This is a rematch. They grappled that Fury Grappling Championship. Clay shot a takedown, and Hooper took the back and got a calf slicer. If you want, I like Chase Hooper by submission straight, and I also like Chase Hooper by submission or on points. You know, Wednesday I'm going to be dropping my 6 best bets and lock of the week, so stay tuned for that. I'm going to have some good props for the last-minute predictions as well. I always have good props, so I'm going to be trying to give you guys some of the best props. I think this fight doesn't go the distance. It's probably one of the most obvious props. It's probably juiced as well. Give me Chase Hooper by submission or on points, and then give me Chase Hooper by sub straight. And I want to mention why. We also have to mention that the KO possibility is not out of the realm of possibility. We have to mention that he dropped Slava Claus, or Borishev, however you want to call him. He dropped Slava Claus. In another universe, that could be a KO win. A lot of people weren't expecting to have that undeceiving power against Slava Claus. I'm going to be going Chase Hooper. I think this is a very obvious pick. I think a lot of Tapology, a lot of the cappers are picking Chase Hooper, but we have to mention Guida can definitely win a decision. If you're on the Guida side, just sprinkle dog. I don't think you got to get fancy with a plus 500 underdog. And we've seen Chase Hooper sell not sell, but we've seen him lose before by knockout viciously. Obviously, that was Steve Garcia. This guy's a KO king, so we can't take that away from him, but we also can't completely count out Clay Guida. We know only 5% of Tapology's picking him. I'm going to go Chase Hooper by submission, and I'm going to go Chase Hooper by submission second round. It's going to be a very good fight, very fun fight, and a very good way to start off the prelims. Michael Chiesa versus Max Griffin. Michael Chiesa, Max Griffin is the older fighter. Chiesa's grappler, straightforward game plan, looks for takedowns, body locks, double legs, once on top, has good ground and pound, and transitions very smoothly. He is coming off that win over Tony Ferguson. Prior to that win over Tony Ferguson, he had a 3-fight losing skid, which was bad. Vicente Luque submission. Sheen Brady, he's pretty good. He just beat Gilbert Burns. And then Kevin Holland, who is set to face off against Rainer de Ritter. That's going to be a banger fight. I actually have Rainer de Ritter early. I like Rainer de Ritter, RDR, but he did get dropped by Movsar. So that's going to be a funny fight. Max Griffin, on the other hand, is a guy who you don't really know what you're going to get with Max Griffin. Taking on Max Griffin, who has a total of 8 knockdowns in his UFC career, almost solid. He's a solid grappler as well. Averages about 2 takedowns per fight, coming off of that super close win to Jeremiah Wells back in February. Michael Chiesa is the younger fighter, but is old as well. He's still sloppy. Ugly fight here. Screams 1-800-GAMBLER. And I think whoever's going to have the cardio advantage here is going to take off. I think if there's a position where we're standing for 15 minutes and Max Griffin's just teeing off on a guy like Chiesa and even drops him, then a guy like Chiesa is not going to be able to work. He can't get dropped in this fight. If Chiesa gets dropped early, he's most likely going to lose that fight in a hole. He's not like a guy like Nate Landwehr who can keep on going after getting dropped in the first round. I think a guy like me, Michael Chiesa, needs to set the tone, set the pace, set the game plan, get a nice little body lock, sloppy takedown, try to transition. Don't chase a submission too hard. Michael Chiesa, but slowly, methodically find it like you did with Tony Ferguson. I know Tony Ferguson is not a Max Griffin, and Tony Ferguson is nowhere near the guy who he used to be 4 years ago, even 5 years, even 2 years ago. So Michael Chiesa is the underdog, rightfully so. Max Griffin is a guy who gets knockdowns in almost every single one of his fights, but he's 39 years old. He has the longer reach, so he can set the tone, set the jab. At a -155, I think he's a good favorite, slight favorite. I definitely see this fight going the distance, so give me that this fight goes the distance. I'll take the over 2.5. And in my opinion, I like Michael Chiesa by points, and I like Max Griffin by points if you want to sprinkle either side. But I'll take Michael Chiesa to win this fight by submission or on points. These are the newly updated predictions. Not much of a change yet. No flips yet, but I'm going to go Michael Chiesa to win this fight, and I'm going to go for him to win by submission or on points. I'm not taking the exact prediction. If I have to, I'll go Michael Chiesa by decision, but I'll take the double chance just because this could get sloppy, this could get ugly, and you don't want to put all your marbles in a fight that you're sweating for this fight to end, or you're sweating for this fight to go the distance. I'm going to be going Michael Chiesa by submission or on points. Let's go. Specifically by decision, 29-28. Very good fight. Cody Durden versus Joshua Van. By far one of my most anticipated fights of the entire card. Cody Durden, a guy who just tends to grapple. 17-6 for Cody Durden. Josh Van, 14 fights, but he's a young kid at only 23. Has the same... at only 23, he doesn't have the same experience as Durden. Cody Durden is a pressure wrestler. Averages almost 5 takedowns per fight. Chain wrestles. Dives for legs over and over. He doesn't have a lot of control on top control, and he can't maintain top control very well. His chin is very questionable. He's coming off of that bounce-back win over Matt Schnell, which was very impressive, taking on Joshua Van. By far, one of my favorite fighters to watch, primarily a striker, but he did have a little bit of a sketch fight against Edgar Chairez in his last fight. A striker, but very clean as well, and he's very well-rounded. In my opinion, I think he has better hands than Cody Durden by far, and is better than Cody Durden in the striking department by miles. He's coming off that bounce-back win over Edgar Chairez, which was a pretty close fight, and he almost got finished in that fight by a spinning back fist. Both guys are chinny, but I'm going to pick my boy Joshua Van. No flips yet. As we get on the card, I think I have a flip. I'm not sure. Joshua Van is a demon. If you want to go for a dog, this is by far the best dog out of all the fights that I broke down. I mean, other than Chris Weidman. But a guy who can have a relentless grappling game plan, who can just keep on shooting over and over and over again, is a guy who can beat Joshua Van. We know when Joshua Van lost in the UFC for the first time was against Charles Johnson. He started off pretty early, And that was a pretty fast fight. That fight was tuning up pretty fast. And Joshua Van tends to start a little bit slow. You know, it was 1-1 against Edgar Chairez, and then he wins the third round by volume, output, and precision. I think this is going to be one of those fights where this goes to a decision and it's a sloppy fight. I wouldn't be surprised if both of these guys get dropped. If Cody Durden gets dropped, Joshua Van's trying to chase him down, and then a nice little uppercut drops Joshua Van. And this is one of those wars to start off 310 prelim, and we're all off our seats. Excuse me. Damn. I'm going to be going Joshua Van. I'm going to go 29. I'm going to go by decision 29-28. Minus 165. He's probably at minus 200 right now as we're speaking. In my 6 best bets, look out, because this motherfucker's going to be there. I can't lie. Joshua Van is a treat to watch. Bias aside, by far one of my favorite strikers of all time in the flyweight division. Give me Joshua Van to win this fight by third round KO, if not late third round KO, if not by decision 29-28 after losing the first round, after getting grappled and then having a little bit of tough time to get up, and then the second and third, Cody Durden gasses. 33 years old versus 23, 10 years age gap. That could make a massive difference in the ability to win a decision. You know, sometimes the questionable decisions that you make are because of how much experience you have. So a guy like Cody Durden is a vet, and be careful when you're betting against him. I'm going to go Joshua Van by decision 29-28. Let's go. Banger fight. There's another banger fight. Chris Weidman versus Eryk Anders. This is a little bit where it gets sketchy because I found out some information that I didn't know before. I found out, shout out to Baby Sharp MMA, bro. He said Eryk Anders is coming off of an addiction and is clean now. And that's very important to mention because I did not know that at all until yesterday. That is very, very important to know because not only does that kind of infiltrate the way I look at this fight, but that influences my pick a little bit. So right now, minus 105, Chris Weidman, minus 115. We know that this fight was scheduled to happen earlier, but now it's happening this Saturday instead of the past. Chris Weidman versus Eryk Anders. This fight is a catchweight. I don't know if Anders had an issue with his health or diet, but now we know a little bit more information. Mr. Weidman, former world champ, beat Anderson Silva twice, but he's also funny at times on the weigh-in show. I prefer him on the weigh-in show. Former middleweight champ of the world. He was the first champion out of Sarah Longo's gym. He's a great wrestler, wrestled in college. Likes to eye poke, though. He is 40, coming off of that double eye poke over Bruno Silva. He's taking on Eryk Anders, an athlete who can wrestle, can strike. He competed at multiple... Eryk Anders has competed in multiple sports at a high level, but make what you want. Because a lot of these guys, I competed in football. But you're only in football because you're big, bro. Because, but he's slow. A lot of these guys are slow. A lot of these guys are super slow, and they don't have the amount of volume and output that you might need in the middleweight division. A guy like Shara Bullet is a guy who is perfect for the middleweight division, in my opinion. A guy who has the good speed, good kicks. His takedown defense is okay. A guy like Israel Adesanya. A guy like Evloev, a little bit of a skinnier stature, like lankier stature that can glide across the cage. Is a little bit more better physique for middleweight, in my opinion. I do think Eryk Anders can take out this decision, but we have to mention Eryk Anders relies a lot on his athletic ability and his physical, overwhelming strength. He's coming off of that win over Jamie Pickett, where he looked strong, but he did get dropped by Jamie Pickett. That's a very questionable drop. Jamie Pickett, he dropped you. He's no longer in the UFC. What the fuck? I'm going to be going Eryk Anders, and I'm going to go Eryk Anders to win this fight by KO or decision. I'm going to go Eryk Anders. I hate picking against New York Chris Weidman, bro. I hate it, but I'm going to go Eryk Anders, and I'm going to go Eryk, your boy Anders, to win this fight. At a minus 115, I'll just take money line. I don't want to get fancy with it. And specifically, I'll go Anders to win this fight by decision. It's going to be a sloppy, ugly fight, 1-800-GAMBLER fight. I was on Chris Weidman earlier this week, but after finding out a little bit more information, I'm going to go Eryk Anders. And unfortunately, I hate to pick against Chris Weidman. Maybe I might do an official pick flip, but I don't think so. I'll go Eryk Anders to win this fight by decision, 29-28. Banger fight. Randy Rude Boy Brown versus Bryan Battle. This motherfucker is a beast. Bryan Battle. Let me introduce you to Bryan Battle. Let me introduce you to who this guy is. Battle is the reason why I had a 7 Lock of the Week streak. I did not know what I was doing with Lock of the Weeks. I was trash at Lock of the Weeks. You can still say I am. I'm only on 1 Lock of the Week streak. Carlos Olberg. That's the only Lock of the Week streak that I'm on right now. But Randy Brown started something that I never had before. I mean, not Randy Brown. Bryan Battle. He started a streak that I started hitting, and you gain more confidence with these picks, and you get better at making picks. And as you get better at making picks over and over as time goes on, you start recognizing these people who you can trust. Not all the time because it's MMA, but in this game where you could flip a coin and anybody could win in a cage, there's some people who you can rely on that you know will get dropped in that fight, will get bloodied up, anything can happen, any type of adversity, and they will fight for your money. There's some people in the UFC, you can tell if the adversity starts to build up, they're not willing to fight for your money or fight for a win. Some people are hungrier than others. When I saw Bryan Battle go into Paris, did you guys think the Butcher was going to lose some motherfucker from France? That's something, that's a fire in your heart that you have, that I can't let this guy beat me, or I'd rather die than lose to this guy. And that's who the Butcher is. That's a guy who you can trust to fit the price tag. Minus 250, no problem. He's a good fitting price tag. Who's Randy Brown? A guy with high volume, guy with beautiful kicks. 6'3", takes advantage of his reach with long kicks, jabs, teeps, has 9 takedowns in the UFC. Doesn't go for them often, but has great trips. Coming off of that decision win over Zaleski, although a lot of his opponents are fairly on the older side, where he was taken down 4 times, but his striking was a masterclass. That fight, he's taking on Pooh Bear, solid ground game, a beast in the striking department. He averages 1 takedown per fight, 28% takedown accuracy for Bryan Battle, which is not good. Every single fight, he looks 10 times better. Coming off of that win over Kevin just said, he got that second round KO, but he did get hit more than any previous opponent hit him before. Honestly, Bryan Battle does not need to grapple. I don't want him shooting on Randy Brown. Randy has been dropped before by JDM, Vicente, Luque, and Chaos Williams. I'm going to go Bryan Battle, and I'm going to go Bryan Battle to win this fight by second round KO. I think I went Bryan Battle to win by decision. I'm going to go Bryan Battle to win by second round KO. If not, I'll take double chance. I like double chance. Bryan Battle by KO on points. And I want to mention that pay attention to Wednesday, because that's all I'm going to say. All I'm going to say is pay attention to Wednesday. Bryan the Butcher. Did y'all really think I was going to lose to a French dude? Movsar Evloev versus Aljamain Sterling. By far my most anticipated fight. When I'm on UFC 5 and I'm playing UFC 5 over and over and over again, all I do, if it's featherweight, I pick Movsar, and the other guy picks Aljo, and it's always a good scrap. Always the scrambling exchanges, the wrestling. He takes my back. I get tired. I try to take his back. We're scrambling, and that's what this fight screams. This fight screams a beautiful wrestling clinic. Aljamain Sterling versus Movsar Evloev. This fight is favored to go the distance. This fight's probably minus 400 that this fight goes the distance. You have a better chance. I think the odds are going to be juiced for this fight to go the distance, obviously. But we want to mention that this guy's 18-0, Movsar Evloev versus Aljamain Sterling. And shout out to somebody. I forgot who specifically, but they mentioned that Movsar is not Dagestani. So you can't group him in with all the Dagestanis. He's from Russia, but from a different region. So, my bad for saying he was Dagestani. Very different ball game when you're not Dagestani. American top team, one of the best versus Sarah Jiu-Jitsu. Aljamain Sterling is a guy who's the backpack king, the guy who can take your back at any moment. Former world champion, in my opinion, the bantamweight GOAT, but maybe that's Dillashaw, maybe that's Dominick Cruz, whoever you want to say. Former world champion, Aljo versus Movsar, undefeated, mostly decision, Evloev. This fight screams decision. Movsar is a fantastic wrestler, great striking, and sets up his takedowns beautifully. 38 takedowns in 8 UFC fights, coming off of that win over Arnold Allen, where knees gave him an issue. taking on the former champion, Aljamain Sterling. Backpack king, wide stance style, striking, lands almost 5 significant strikes per minute, and only absorbs around 2. Great footwork range, coming off of that featherweight debut dominant win over Calvin Kattar. Aljo might get absolutely smoked, but I do believe he can hang in the scrambling department. If Aljo takes Movsar back, he can hang there for an entire round. The reversals and sweeps will be so fun to watch. Movsar by decision is probably the best play. If you want to take anything, Movsar by decision, sprinkle that. Or Aljamain by decision, sprinkle that. This fight screams a split decision in my opinion. I think it might be 1-1 going into the third round. And you got to put the pace, you got to put the gas, you got to put everything, put the fries in the bag in order to win this split decision. I'm going to go Movsar Evloev to win this fight. I like Aljamain Sterling by far. I know a lot of people call him boring. Make what you want. Yeah, he's a little boring, but I like his YouTube channel, bro. I like his YouTube channel. It's really good. Give me Movsar Evloev to win this fight by decision, 29-28, maybe even 30-27. I'll go 29-28 after losing the first round. Vicente Luque versus Themba Gorimbo. Isn't it crazy how Vicente Luque is younger than Themba Gorimbo? I know everybody's saying this all over Twitter, but he's only younger by a couple of months, 9 months to be exact. Maybe 8 months if you really want to do the math. This fight is a banger fight. Vicente Luque was a minus 650 against Nick Diaz. Nick Diaz was seen burning grass and doing weird stuff, so he was not able to pull up to that fight. And now Themba Gorimbo steps in. Banger fight. Banger fight. Over 2.5, under 2.5, I'll let you know. Vicente Luque versus Themba Gorimbo originally set to face off against Nick Diaz, but Diaz was seen burning grass outside tripping. Who knows? He probably ate a fucking mushroom. Themba, power in his hands, solid wrestling, great takedown defense, fantastic sub. 62% takedown defense. But if you remove that Bilal Muhammad fight, Vicente Luque has been taken down 7 times in his 16 fights. Coming off of that TKO loss over Buckley, where he couldn't find his range, taking on Themba Gorimbo. The rock bottom in apartment, hardworking guy, company man, trying to live his dream on a 4-fight win streak. Although he wasn't able to finish Nico Price, very long for the weight class, uses length to counter charges forward when he sees an opening. 1 out of 7 takedowns in his 5 UFC fights, coming off of that dominant win over Nico Price. Needs to wrestle Vicente. Honestly, Vicente is the best fighter Themba has fought. Big test. In my opinion, I'm going to go Themba Gorimbo, and I'm going to go Themba Gorimbo to win this fight by decision. I believe it was almost like a pick'em for the over 2.5 or the under 2.5 for that Nico Price fight. And I believe I took the over. And it hit because he wasn't able to finish Nico Price, but I expected him to finish Nico Price. Honestly, the fact that he wasn't able to finish a guy like Nico Price, make what you want with that. It happens. You know, we all have that performance where a lot of people over-expect you to perform and then you end up underperforming. I'll go Themba Gorimbo, and I'm going to go Themba Gorimbo by maybe a late ground and pound TKO, if not decision. I'm going to go 29-28, Themba Gorimbo to win this fight by 29-28, unanimous decision. Let's go. Only one flip. Anthony Lionheart Smith, definitely not fucking flipping here. Versus Dominick Reyes. Excuse me. Anthony Smith, bro. Is anybody picking him? That is crazy. Who is the 10% that is picking Anthony Smith? Come out. Reveal yourself. Show yourself if you picked Anthony Smith. No, I'm just kidding. Here we go. Anthony Smith versus Dominick Reyes. Anthony Smith, big name, but coming off a loss over Roman Dolidze, who's a middleweight. Dom Reyes used to be talked about super highly since that Jones fight. Since he lost, he was KO'd back to back to back. Good power technique. 2 takedowns in the UFC. Low 28% takedown accuracy, but he has a solid 80% takedown defense. He broke his 4-fight losing skid with a quick KO win over Dustin Jacoby. Dom Reyes got his first win in 5 years. Yes, 5 years. And he is a 4-1 favorite over Smith. He beat Dustin Jacoby. Smith is so bad, I'll go Reyes to win inside the distance. Dom Reyes, last fight was only 2 minutes. And he has only fought 3.5 minutes in the last 3 years. In the last 3 years, this guy has only fought 3.5 minutes. And he is a 3-1 favorite, 4-1 favorite. over Anthony Lionheart Smith. Smith is a guy who has the stature, has the build, has the physique, but he can't put it all together. You have to, it's mixed martial arts. You have to put it all together, put it in a ball, whirl it all together, whirl it up, and then throw it out there and perform. Anthony Smith, what was his best performance? Ryan Spann? Because he was able to beat Ryan Spann, and Dominick Reyes wasn't. If you want to play this MMA math, if you want me to give you a reason to pick Anthony Smith, split decision. That's the only reason. That's the only way Anthony Smith can win this fight. Split decision. He can knock out Dominick Reyes. Dominick Reyes has a chin of a little bit of a questionable chin. But if there's any Hail Mary, it's Anthony Smith by split decision. I think this fight could get ugly if Dominick Reyes is not able to put out Anthony Smith in the first round. Anthony Smith tends to do this talking too much, where you're talking to Johnny Walker, you're doing this hand fighting with Khalil Roundtree, and you're just with Roman Dolidze, you're laughing, you're high-fiving him, bro, what the fuck? You're fighting. What are you doing? I'm gonna go Dominick Reyes to win by first round. TKO, let's go. Anthony Smith is fun, though. He's fun. He's a good analyst. Nate Landwehr versus GOOOOO Choi. Shout out to the motherfuckers that picked him over Bill Algeo. Shout out to you guys. Because, wow. I picked Bill Algeo. I put Bill Algeo in my 6 best bets of that week. And damn, did this motherfucker GOOOOO Choi show up and put him out like crazy. Let me explain to you. Nate Landwehr versus GOOOOO Choi. Nate Landwehr moves forward, looks for a finish at all costs. Got power, but he puts himself in harm's way a lot. He's never in a boring fight. Coming off of that finished win over Jamal Emmers took a bunch of damage and overwhelmed the guy. He's taking on Choi, who has 5 fight of the night bonuses in only 7 fights. Good takedown defense. Doesn't get too wild. He started his career and was rushed. First win over 8 years over Bill Algeo. Korean Superboy is a menace. This is a big ask for Choi. His takedown defense needs to be on point. Needs to keep his back off the fence at all times. Treat the fence like electricity. Nate is a bit chinny, getting wobbled and dropped. GOOOOO Choi can put his lights out. After watching a little bit more tape, I recommend everybody to watch Jamal Emmers versus Nate Landwehr. 1, grab your popcorn. 2, watch how Nate Landwehr gets dropped, and then he comes back and overwhelms his opponent. What if GOOOOO Choi puts him out? What if he drops him and he's able to put him out? GOOOOO Choi hits as a plus 135 slight underdog. We can definitely see that this fight probably doesn't go the distance. But if this is going to be a relentless pace in the favor of Nate Landwehr, he can probably win by decision. I know a lot of people think that this fight doesn't go the distance. Jamal Emmers, he uppercutted him. Right hook, hammer fist. But a guy like GOOOOO Choi can put your lights out at any time. I can definitely see Nate Landwehr to win by decision after he's wrestling. But if he gets wobbled this fight, he's probably going to get dropped. And GOOOOO Choi, if he drops Nate Landwehr, he is probably going to finish Nate Landwehr. I like Nate Landwehr. I'm very high on the train. But if GOOOOO Choi is anywhere near his prime, he should be able to win this fight. But I'm going to go Nate Landwehr just because he's 36 years old. I know he's older by 3 years. And that's a little, you don't want that. But I like his gas tank. I like his pressure. I like his relentless pace. This is one of those guys who I can say will fight for your money and will fit the price tag. I'm going to go Nate Landwehr to win this fight. And I'm going to go by 29-28 unanimous decision. Which is a big ask. Because most likely that fight might not go the distance. So if you want, you could do Nate Landwehr by double chance, by KO on points. But I'm going to go Nate Landwehr by decision, 29-28, after getting dropped in the first round. Bryce Mitchell versus Kron Gracie. This is a banger fight. Homeless Kron Gracie, massive last name. Some of the best grapplers, pioneers of the sport. Kron Gracie can wrestle. Bryce Kron Gracie can't fucking wrestle. Wrestling and Kron Gracie should never go together in the same sentence. Bryce Mitchell has done everything you could do with Arkansas. With Arkansas wrestling, he has a good wrestling background. He averages about 3 takedowns per fight, a little more than that. Good control, could even be a better grappler than Kron Gracie. He did just get KO'd by Josh Emmett. Really, really bad. Brutally. Kron Gracie's a decent grappler, but no hands. His bread and butter is the grappling department. He lost to Cub Swanson, then took 5 years off, and then looked worse. This guy sucks, which is what I wrote in my notes. Maybe the same breakdown as last week, but we have to mention that he's a bigger underdog than he was last week. I'm going to go Bryce Mitchell to win this fight by... Sorry, I'm going to go Bryce Mitchell to win this fight by I'm going to go Bryce Mitchell to win this fight by KO on points. I wanted to say submission on points. I don't know what it's going to be. Pick your poison. Pick your poison. This is one of those fights where Bryce Mitchell by KO on points, Bryce Mitchell by submission on points. If I have to pick one of the poisons, I'll go Bryce Mitchell by submission on points just because that's his bread and butter. And he did look phenomenal against Ilia Topuria. Although he did get finished by submission against Ilia Topuria. He beat Andre Fili, although that was 4 years ago. His best win by far, in my opinion, Edson Barbosa. And then he has a win over Dan Ige, which you can say that's an even better win. Maybe that's his best win by far. Josh Emmett, he took a good amount of time off. A year off, 11 months, 2 weeks ago. I think that was a perfect amount of time off. Bryce Mitchell, Thug Nasty. Give me Thug Nasty to win this fight by decision, 29-28. Or by submission. Let's go. If not, if I have to choose a round, I'll go second round submission. Because a guy like Kron Gracie, I don't think he'll be able to hang for 15 minutes with a guy like Bryce Mitchell. Ciryl Gane versus Alexander Volkov. Damn. I messed up the last time I broke down this fight. I said that this fight was going to be 5 rounds. Or I thought of it as 5 rounds in my head. This is a rematch. The rematch is now 3 rounds. Which can favor Volkov. Ciryl Gane, best in and out striker in the game ever. He has good striking differential, landing 5, only gets hit with 2. Good footwork, sometimes sets up takedowns. He took down Dontel Mays, Rosenstrike, and Francis Ngannou. Ciryl can't defend takedowns that well, coming off that KO win over Sergey Spivak, which is a very good win because Sergey just beat Tybura, who Tybura just beat Denise. He's taking on Volkov, who just beat Sergey Pavlovich. Very durable fighter. Fought the best of the best, always a company man. Decision win over Sergey Pavlovich is by far one of the most impressive wins I've seen from Alexander Volkov. Very good at range and an excellent jab. Gane beat him already by decision in the first matchup. Volkov didn't shoot, and Gane actually shot a takedown. I'll pick Ciryl Gane to win by decision, and I'm going the same way. Whether it is 5 rounds or 3 rounds, Ciryl Gane is that guy, and he's a point fighter. So I'm going to go Ciryl Gane to win this fight by 29-28, 30-27, and 29-28 on all judges' scorecards. Honestly, you can't say it's definitive. You can't say it's for certain. Alexander Volkov is very good, and this is more favorable to him if it's 3 rounds. I'm going to go Ciryl Gane to win this fight by 29-28, 30-27, and 29-28 unanimous decision. 81-inch reach versus 80, almost identical. 6'7" versus 6'4". It's crazy how this guy's taller, and he has a shorter reach by 1 inch. I'll go Ciryl Gane to win this fight by 29-28. Volkov is a beast, though. Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Ian Machado Gary. If you guys saw me last time, you guys know already. Should have put the belt on this line. You should have put the belt on this line. These guys are the best in the division. Undefeated prospects. Only ones willing to step up against Shavkat is Ian Gary, 18-0. Shavkat is 18-0 with 100% finish rate, jumping gillies, KOing everyone in his path. He's hard to hit. Doesn't move his head that well, though. He has decent pressure, very active on the ground, coming off of that sub win over Wonderboy, where he got 1 takedown out of 5 attempts, but he only needed 1 takedown. Taking on Ian Machado Gary. Solid striking, fantastic, if not better footwork. He lands 6 significant strikes per minute. Great takedown defense, good volume, decent power, great speed. He goes 0 to 100 real quick. 2 of the best undefeated guys in the welterweight division. And we know Ian Gary was set to fight Buckley, but now Buckley's facing Colby Covington. I'm so glad Usman didn't get this fight. This is by far one of the most exciting anticipated fights of the entire card. By far my most anticipated fight other than the Aljamain and Movsar Evloev. I'm more excited for this one than any other fight. He couldn't take down Jeff Neal. Shavkat had a 29% takedown accuracy. Overall, Ian is a very fluid striker. He only landed 19 significant strikes on MVP, but grappled that fight. If Shavkat doesn't stop Ian or he doesn't take him down early, I can see this fight being an amazing chess match. Minus 350 odds for Shavkat is insane. Ian Gary's very smart. He picks his fights, and he knows what he's doing when he's ready. I think he's ready. I think both of these fighters are ready for each other, and I think this is going to be a banger fight. He was supposed to fight Buckley, but he steps in like a company man does, and I think he's 100% ready. If you guys saw my in-depth breakdown, I recommend go watch it. If you want a part 2, I could drop a part 2 because there's so much things to talk about in this fight. We could talk about the knee on the belly that Shavkat Rakhmonov does. We can talk about his takedowns. We could talk about the way Shavkat Rakhmonov controls the feet. The more tape study you do, the more you realize how many ways this guy Shavkat Rakhmonov can win. He can win by just controlling the feet. He can win by decision. He can win by submission. He can win by KO. Although, out of all those three, the least likely outcome is by decision. This guy has a 100% finish rate. Majority Tapology has him to win by submission. If you're going to go any single prop for this fight and you have to choose one, I'll take Shavkat Rakhmonov to win by decision. I mean, not decision, by submission. I messed up my words right there. Shavkat Rakhmonov, best prop to win inside the distance. And then another prop, this fight doesn't go the distance. My best prop is Shavkat Rakhmonov to win this fight by submission. A lot of people are expecting that this fight can maybe end early. But I think that this fight's going to touch the third round. I think a lot of people expect Ian Gary to just get absolutely demolished. And rightfully so. He's facing a undefeated prospect with a 100% finish rate. But I think styles makes fights. These guys train together as well. The more tape study you do, the more you can find how Gary goes 0 to 100 real quick. His volume is better. He's faster. We don't know that for sure. And the cardio is the biggest question. Who has the better cardio? Does Shavkat Rakhmonov have better cardio than Ian Machado Gary? Or does Ian Machado Gary have better cardio? I know a lot of people say that he was training in the mountains. So that is a big scale for your cardio. Shavkat could have way better cardio by miles. And we don't even know it because this guy's finishing everybody in his path. Although with guys who tend to have a 100% finish rate, they tend to more than likely not have the best cardio because they're not put in positions where they're forced to use it. I think a guy like Ian Machado Gary is taking a massive step up in competition. Shavkat has been in more wars than Ian Machado Gary, so you can say Shavkat's gas tank is better because he's been in more wars, he's been in more firefights. But I think when it comes to Ian Machado Gary, methodical footwork, the way he's able to dance around the cage. And I know it sometimes looks like he's not fighting, and everybody's like, this is so boring. But we need a guy like that in order to beat a guy like Shavkat. We need a guy to touch Shavkat up, dance around the cage, touch him up, touch him up, touch him up, dance around the cage, touch him up, dance around the cage, defend a takedown, defend a sloppy takedown. This guy doesn't move his head. 1-2 head kick, 1-2 to the body kick, a nice body kick, front kick to the body, keep him back, dance around the cage, stand in the middle of the octagon, stand in the middle of the black. Don't go behind the black line like Max Holloway fucking did with Italy Taporia. Stay in the black line, treat defense as electricity. Easier said than done. Keep the pressure. A good jab can easily disrupt Shavkat Rakhmonov. This guy doesn't move his head for shit. A good 1-2 head kick can easily catch a guy like Rakhmonov. And I'm just giving both ways that these guys can win. A guy like Shavkat Rakhmonov can easily catch a guy like Ian Machado Gary. I know a lot of people say he got dropped by Kenan Song. But I think he took that same shot against MVP. MVP hit him with a good shot. Michael Venom Page hit Ian Gary with a good shot. And Ian Gary was able to take that shot very good on the chin. It was very clean. And many can say that MVP won that fight. I don't think so. He lost that fight. I even picked him. But I want to say that Ian Machado Gary, I know his nutritionist, there's a lot of jokes of his wife's boyfriend or something. But I think Ian Machado Gary has gotten this weight cut down. I think he's filled out in his weight class. And I think his chin has gone better. I'm going to go Ian Machado Gary to win this fight by 48-47, 49-46, and 48-47 unanimous decision. I know this is crazy. I know a lot of people are going to be like, what the fuck? Yo, what the fuck? What? Yo, Ian Machado Gary's not winning, little bro. He's not winning, little bro. But I'm going to go Ian Gary. He goes 0 to 100 real quick. Let's go. Let's go. Take his O. Let's go, Ian Gary. I know a lot of people like Shavkat Rakhmonov. I recommend you take him. I recommend you use him as an anchor to your parlays. Shavkat Rakhmonov is probably going to get this job done in notable, vicious fashion. But I'm very high on Ian Gary. I like his footwork. I like his technical ability to go 0 to 100 real quick. And I like his ability to stay in a fight. I like the fact that he's gone 15 minutes before. We know that Shavkat hasn't, but, it's only a couple of minutes. I think he has better cardio than Shavkat Rakhmonov. They trained together. They looked pretty good when they were training together. I'm going to go Ian Machado Gary. I think he knows something that a lot of us don't. Give me Ian Gary to win this fight, and the whole MMA community gets riled up. Let's go. Let me know, though. Let me know your best props. I like Ian Gary. That's probably one of my favorite dogs of the card, but there's some more dogs, and we'll get to it on the last-minute predictions. Those will be very, very important props. Here we go. Alexander Pantoja versus Kai Asakura. This is another beautiful dog. We want to mention that everybody mentions the Merab versus Kai Asakura, where Merab's shooting takedowns relentlessly, half-ass takedowns, and Kai Asakura's defending them very well, but they're just to get the opponent tired, so make what you want with that information. I thought that was very good. Kai Asakura has 1 loss in his last 5 wins. His last 5. And that's by decision. If you see his Ryzen fights, he uses a lot of the soccer kicks, a lot of the knees to the head. And you can ask, why does that matter if he's not going to be able to utilize any of those weapons in this fight? But I think if Pantoja does this thing where he shoots a sloppy takedown and he pretends to be a grounded opponent just because that's his habit, a good fucking knee to the head will put this motherfucker Pantoja out. We know Pantoja has lost to Figueiredo. He got dropped by Figueiredo. A guy like Kai Asakura, if his power is what it looks like on the TV, is what it looks like when he's in Japan, when he's a Japanese superstar, this guy can definitely drop Alexander Pantoja. It's just a matter of whether Pantoja's going to close his eyes and shoot for a takedown, sloppy takedown, get the takedown, and then hug his nuts for the fucking rest of the round. I did 2-2 against Steve Erceg, and then Pantoja's just hugging his nuts over and over again for the last 2 minutes and 34 seconds. Steve Erceg ends up getting knocked the fuck out by Kai Kara-France. And then we all forget about Steve Erceg. But a guy like Steve Erceg had very good success against Pantoja. I think it could look similar with this Kai Asakura fight where Pantoja tends to put the pace. He just puts pace. He just pressures you, just walks into your face, just tries to overwhelm you, tries to get a fast finish. And then Kai Asakura's patient. He's finding his leg kicks. He's finding his jab. He's finding his rhythm. He's having success. Outstriking Pantoja. Boom! Pantoja shoots a takedown, hugging his nuts for the whole round. Next round starts. Kai Asakura. Oh, he wobbled Pantoja. Pantoja shoots for a takedown, hugging his nuts. Hugging his nuts for the whole round. Okay, it's close. It's close. Kai Asakura wins the 3rd round, wins the 4th round. 2-2 going to the 5th. Oh my God, what's going to happen? Pantoja shoots, hugs his nuts for the rest of the round. Pantoja, he could probably get a finish. But I think this fight's going to go the distance. If you want to take double chance, you could go Pantoja by submission on points. I don't think he's going to knock out Kai Asakura. I think if anybody's going to knock out somebody, it's Kai Asakura flatlining Pantoja. If he can flatline Pantoja, I will put Kai Asakura as one of my favorite fighters of all time. And that's a big ask because Kai Asakura is making his UFC debut. Comes from Ryzen. Champion from Ryzen. Making his UFC debut against what? The flyweight champ that they're feeding to the Japanese superstar in hopes that the Brazilian champion, dominant champion, who's boring, can lose. I think the UFC wants Kai Asakura to win. I think a lot of people want Kai Asakura to win. But I think if you're going to bet smart, you take Pantoja and you take him just money line. At a minus 245, 250, he's going to be a minus 300, minus 400 if he takes Kai Asakura down. When it comes to pressure, when it comes to under the bright lights, when it comes to performing, you cannot take away Pantoja's success at performing. One thing in this UFC ball game, you have to perform. You have to consistently perform. And that's something that a lot of people cannot do. Guys like DJ, Mighty Mouse, guys like Alexander Pantoja, guys like Khabib, guys like Ian Gary, Shavkat Rakhmonov, maybe Ian Gary not, but Shavkat, they constantly perform. They constantly, under the bright lights, put on a performance. And that's something that if you're consistent with, it's going to always translate into your next fight. I think Kai Asakura is going to put up a good fight. And I think I think Kai Asakura is going to lose by decision. I'm going to go Alexander Pantoja to win this fight by 48-47 split. 48-47 Kai Asakura split. And for the winner by split decision, for the flyweight champion of the world, and still Alexander Pantoja, 48-47 split decision. I think he tends to make fights a lot closer than they need to be, and that's because of his sloppy takedowns. But we know that he's gotten a lot better. He cut off all his hair. He has a mustache. He looks like prime RDA. So give me RDA to beat Kai Asakura by grappling him. 48-47 split decision. Let me know what the fuck you guys think. Let me know if you guys like this breakdown. Let me know if you guys are on the Ian Gary train with me. If not, that's fine. We could all be on Shavkat Rakhmonov. Let me know if you guys like Bryan Battle. You guys like Movsar, Evloev. And let me know a good lock of the week. Help me find a lock of the week. If you can help me find a good lock of the week and it hits, I'm going to shout you out. Shout out to all the people who give me love. Shout out to all the people who are waiting for these videos to come out. And shout out to the Naughty Gang. I want to thank you guys. 3K is on the way. 3K is on the way. 3K is on the way. 2025 we'll have 3K, baby. Hope you guys have a great day. Hope you guys enjoyed your Thanksgiving. And I hope you guys are excited for UFC 310. I might drop an Buckley versus Covington in-depth breakdown. Maybe. Let me know what you guys want. I might go live. Let me know what you guys want. Let me know. Stay tuned for the polls. Stay tuned for everything. I'll be back. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you guys for showing me so much fucking love. Let's fucking get it. You guys are the reason why I do this shit every day. Let's go. Peace.